I am Cam from Forward Education. You may have received emails from me over time. I'm just going to get everyone to give me a thumbs up emoji in your little toolbar if you can hear me okay. All right, excellent. Thank you all. I appreciate your help. I'm going to be watching the chat a little bit here as we go. It looks like we've just got some note takers in the chat so far, so welcome to the note takers. For everyone that is attending, we will be recording this as well, so you can watch this back, or if you have to jump early or you want to forward it on to anybody else, you will get the recording afterwards. So today we're going to talk about MicroChat, and we're going to talk about some of the newest features of MicroChat, which are pretty exciting. For those of you that are joining that are potentially new to Forward Education, we are a hardware and now software provider that helps to bring coding and AI literacy into the real world. And what's a little bit different with what we do compared to some others that are out there is that we really focus on two things. One is the hands-on microbit learning. So we use microbits in everything that we do. And we really try to make every one of our lessons connected into the real world. So we're not learning coding or AI for the sake of learning those skills, but we're learning how to use technology to solve real world problems. So MicroChat, a very quick overview. If you haven't already, I will encourage you to go to microchat.co and create your account. New users get 30 days for free with MicroChat, so you can play around with it as much as you like over those 30 days. Following that 30 days, it is a $50 or one whole year subscription fee or 1 year license fee. And with that, you can host up to 30 student session or 30 students in a session at a time. So there's a lot of flexibility with that. What you can do in MicroChat, and we're going to jump in and show you everything, you can basically take any idea for your microbit. So using any of the many sensors, the LEDs, turn a text idea, I want to create a beating heart, into working code in a heartbeat. We're going to show you how that works. What this does, some might say that takes all the learning out of coding. It takes all that productive struggle out of coding. But if you've ever taught coding or ever asked students to take a look at block code and tell you how it works, that's a really big and important part of coding. And it kind of removes that bar from understanding where a semicolon is or what exact block code they need to put in which place. And it teaches them first to think about computational thinking, if and then and when and do, and then teaches them to create that through a text prompt and then look at the code that was created to try to understand how it works and explain it back. MicroChat does provide the code, but it also asks the students to provide that explanation so that it does try to reinforce the learning along the way, starting instead with creating that success and that excitement in coding with an AI collaborator. And we're going to jump in. The new feature that we're going to walk through today is the MakeCode Tutorials Builder. It's not a student-facing tool. It's a tool for any of the educators on the call, whether you're a coach, a specialist, or a classroom teacher. You have that idea, you're teaching plant life, you're teaching smart systems or if and then you want to create a tutorial to go along with that maybe is relevant to your local geography, your local community. We can do that. So we're going to go in and do that tutorial as well. As mentioned, so MicroChat works with both just the microbit or with our Forward Education kits, modules, and accessories like I have here today. And we're going to do a demo of that too. So MicroChat follows a model called PRIM, and that stands for Predict, Run, Investigate, Modify, and Make. So as MicroChat is ingesting that text prompt, taking that student idea and turning it into code, it's going to turn it back to the student and ask them, what do you think is going to happen? Run it, watch it, investigate what happened. Did it match what you thought? Maybe it didn't. That's a really great learning opportunity for a kid to say, well, my prompt didn't work, so maybe I have to change something, and helping them understand maybe where they went wrong or where they didn't articulate things properly. In some cases, it might be, okay, now add a green light to it or do something more fun with my creation and continue to grow it from there and then make something totally new. So there's that cycle built into everything that MicroChat does. So we're going to go through 5 things today in the demo. One, I'm going to start off with showing you how to host students in MicroChat. Then we're going to show you a couple basic ideas on how to use code with just microbit. I'm going to show you how to code with one of our kits and the sensors and modules that go with it. And then we're going to talk about the tutorial builder. And I will encourage you to ask questions along the way. I'm going to try to answer them as we go. And if not, we'll get to everything at the end. So let's get into the demo here. I'm going to go to my MicroChat app. For anyone that's already signed in, you're probably familiar with this screen. This is the educator view, and you'd know that because there are a few extra options here down the left-hand side. The first thing that we're going to do here is jump into sessions. So sessions is the area where you can host student classroom sessions, for lack of a better word. You can create a session for an upcoming class or host an ongoing session with a set of students over time and have them revisit. You can host with your plan up to 30 students at a time. You can end that session and then host a different set of 30 students. Really, there's a lot of flexibility here, and I'm going to walk through some of the basics here on how to do that. If I'm an educator and I'm coming in and I want to start a new session, I might say it's my August 27, 7th grade science, 7B, for example. I have 22 students in that class. I can set a message limit on what this means is that each student can only send so many messages to MicroChat, which kind of prevents them from going ham on it and going crazy and having long conversations while you're trying to teach. You can give them a finite number. So maybe it's 10. And you can go back and modify this after if you find that's not enough. But this is an extra classroom control that you can have. And then if you are going through and you'd like to do some assessment on what the students are doing, you can look back at the full history of their chat, and you can even lock down their chat after a certain date. So in this case, maybe I'm allowing for a full week up until next Friday. Students can come back, they can continue to do their projects in MicroChat. And then from that point on, you will have the full history of that, but the students won't be able to continue to modify it. I can also start with a prompt here. So I could say display a beating heart. And that's where the students will start. Everyone will start with the same prompt, and then they can continue to iterate after that. I'm going to open up an existing session and show you how that works. So when students are invited to join a session that you've already created, you can give them this link, microchat.co/join. It's right on the home screen for simplicity's sake. And then you're going to give them this ID, whether you write it on the board, you provide it in your communication system with the students. Whatever the easiest way is, they'll join with that code. Once they join with that code, they're going to be asked to enter. Let's see if I can go back and do it. No, I didn't save that session. They're going to be asked to enter an animal name. You're going to provide that animal name to them, which is a list that you would have. You can download this whole list of animal names. And so if I'm giving my student, Maya, the kangaroo, when she joins with kangaroo, she'll get right into MicroChat, and her alias is now kangaroo, so that they can join without needing a student login. There's no student data collected, and there's no need for them to create an account. When they come in, you'll have access to everything that they're doing in MicroChat. So this student here is asking where they start with a Coding for Good kit. So they have a bunch of our kit modules and building blocks in front of them, perhaps, and they're asking what they can do with it. And in this case, MicroChat is showing them, well, you can start with the moisture sensor and the pump to make a smart watering system. Maybe not every student is following all the instructions. And in fact, they're having maybe a slightly more critical conversation with AI, which in fact, we would certainly encourage, because we should all be very critical of using tools like this in the classroom. So in this case, MicroChat is guiding the student who is talking about not wanting to use AI, worried about AI taking their jobs. MicroChat's not going to have a moral or ethical conversation with students, but MicroChat will try to guide them back towards productive classroom time. So they're going to validate them, and they're going to try to get them to come back and do projects with microbit. The same thing would happen if a student was asking the microbit to display a swear word or do anything else that's inappropriate for the class. It's going to guide them back on topic. In fact, if the student even asks microbit, my name is Maya, I want to display my name on microbit, it's going to suggest to Maya, don't use your real name. Putting your personal information out there on the internet can be dangerous. Maybe there's a nickname or something else that you can try using microbit. So a little bit of digital literacy built in there as well. So once we have our session, we can see our full chat history. We can see when they joined. If I have my rubric where I know who gorilla is and who eagle is and who zebra is, then I can go back and take a look at the classroom session that they had, the conversations they had. Maybe there's a way that I want to assess, like, were they having critical conversations? Did they create their code and then modify that code? Did they download it to microbit and then have it work? I can see that entire history, so I can go back and see how productive they were. We're going to use MicroChat for a second. If you haven't done it yet, I'm going to use the basic prompt here. I'm going to say this, am on microbit. And it's probably going to tell me, don't do that. Stay safe online. Okay, display forward education across my microbit. So MicroChat's going to go. This is the exact same experience between student or between educator. It's going to create that code. When it's ready, it's going to pop that code up here on the right-hand side in the panel, and it's going to ask me how I think this is going to work on the microbit. So I think it will display the letters all at once. Now, anyone that knows microbit knows that that's probably not going to be possible with my 5x5 LED set of lights on top of the microbit here. So it's going to recognize that maybe I am a little bit wrong there. It's going to ask me now, download it and see what happens. So downloading the code that you're creating is just as simple as using it from MakeCode, maybe even a step simpler. I should probably plug it in. And you can't see that because it's in another screen, but I've done the typical pairing screen. It's downloaded, and now forward education is scrolling across here. If I want to then change it up and play music, when it scrolls, of course, it will then act as any AI chatbot does and what you're used to, and it will go and modify that code for me, and then it will tell me what it did. It will ask me again, how do I think that will work? And here it's just playing middle C for 1 beat. Maybe I don't like that. Or maybe as an educator, I want my students to do an initial simple project with MicroChat, creating a code or a program for microbit, and then take it into MakeCode to then do some additional iteration on that. So this is a place where students can really go and start to explore with a lot of freedom, but also the safety net of being able to take it back into MicroChat. So let's say I didn't want it to do middle C. I wanted it to instead play a melody. And change that up. I've got my gallery. I'm going to just choose anything here. And then I'm going to bring it back over into MicroChat. Now, I don't know if it actually had time to render that save. I probably did that a little bit too quickly. Let's take that back over here. Let's bring my melody back over. Got my gallery scale. I'm going to take that back. Whether it worked or not, it will bring it back over into MakeCode, recognize that change that the student made in MakeCode, and continue to prompt the student with the prim system to ask, what do you think will happen? Let's run it. Let's make the change. So Here, it's recognizing that I've done a basic program with showing the words. I've added music. I've taken it into MakeCode. Now, MicroChat is asking me to make some modifications, change the scrolling text, try a different melody, etc. That's how easy it is to get started with a really basic microbit project. And you can imagine a student that's never used microbit before can pretty instantly have success using MicroChat. I'm going to refresh the chat. I've got this pretty fancy project here where it's an automated door system. You can find a project just like this one, in fact, this very one, in resources. We have all of our MicroChat intro activities and educator guides. In our projects, we have our MicroChat projects here as well. So here I'm doing the automated door sensor with MicroChat. So I've got parts that are from one of our Forward Education Coding for Good kits or the Climate Action Kit. It's got our building blocks and our sensors, and it's got a servo motor in it as well. So this project here is going to list all the different parts that you will need. It's going to show you a picture, and there's a video later of what you've created, and then it's going to give you your initial prompt here. So I'm going to just copy this prompt right out of here. I'm going to go back to my chat. I'm going to click on that include forward education sensors and motors, and I'm going to add that prompt. When I'm hovering over the include forward education sensors and motors, it's going to tell me that it does take a little bit longer to use the forward education extension in MicroChat than it does to create a pretty basic MicroChat code. You can all imagine why. I'm sure that it is doing a little more behind the scenes than just a basic microbit project. So it is going to take a little longer to process here. As it goes, it's going to follow the exact same process of showing me the code blocks on the right-hand side and then running the code, which I can then download. So you can see here the artifacts of it taking slightly longer. This time span is something that we are continuing to improve upon. If you saw MicroChat even a couple of months ago, it was a lot different than this. So we are very rapidly iterating on what's possible here. Now we can see the full sonar sensor and everything working. I'm going to change my camera so that we can see so that we can see the project working. One moment. We're going to throw the iPhone camera on and turn it back on again. And if you can see my screen below, can cover the sonar. The magic door is going to open up and it's going to close again. So that was all just done with one simple MicroChat prompt. I then, for this project, you can see I have my green LED light lighting up. In my preparation for the webinar, I just said, when the door is open, turn green. And it is doing that. And now it is not wanting to work for me. There we go. And now it is continuing to work. So pretty exciting that we can do all of that just with a prompt. But let's go back to my camera so you can see me talking again. Okay. I'm getting a weird recording here. We're going to go back to MicroChat. Okay. So now that we've seen how to create a student session with MicroChat, we've seen how to do a very basic project with just the code. I'm sorry, having sharing issues here today. Thank you for your patience. I'm going to have to present my whole window and go back in. I now want to show you how to use the tutorial builder. So we talked about MicroChat and sessions. The tutorial builder I would call this an application that lives within MicroChat. It's not necessarily the chat interface and create code experience. It is actually a tool for educators to now just go and create a totally new tutorial from scratch in MakeCode. So let's say I want to align with CSTA conditional statements. That's just my title. That's not doing anything here. The AI collaboration piece is in the chatbot down towards the bottom. So I want to create a 7th grade CSTA aligned conditional statement project for my class. So let's say I have 0 computer science and AI literacy experience, and I've given this mandate that I need to be teaching basic computer science or doing some kind of technology integration in my classroom. I have microbits at my school. I now am super intimidated, but now I don't have to be, because I can go and create a whole project with one prompt that meets all of my standards, and allows me to do this basically from scratch. So it's going to go through and show me the step-by-step here. It's going to show me what the final code is going to end up looking like. But where the magic really starts to happen with the tutorial builder is when I take it over into MakeCode. So it's going to build that in MakeCode. We now have a light detector project ready to go in MakeCode from that single prompt. If you've used MakeCode before, here we go. The step-by-step tutorials are across the top. Looks like this one gave us 11 different steps to follow. So even as an educator, I can go into basic. I've got my forever block, which it wants me to use. It's already in my workspace. I should probably read the whole thing. Typical student. And then go and find if true, then else block. So it's basically going to take me step by step. This is a conditional statement, checks whether things are true. Great. So then I can continue to follow this tutorial and learn create a microbit project and learn my conditional statements. And we did that in about 3 or 4 minutes. If I wanted to come back and continue to refine the tutorial, if I wanted to use, say, my forward education sensors and blocks and motors with that, I could then go and ask it, well, let's use the sonar sensor and the LED ring to incorporate in my conditional statement project for my class, and then it will go and update that. When the project gets published, I have access to it, my students have access to it, but also my coworkers, my colleagues can use it as well. So all I need to do is share that project, give them the code, and anyone in my school, anyone in my district, anyone I know can use my brand new light detector project. So if I took some time to really customize this for my school district or my school, this would be a great way to share that work, share that love across the classroom. And once again, that's all made possible just with a microbit and with MicroChat. MicroChat is supported online with all of these cool different projects and tutorials. We talked about these already. These actually have all of our projects in it, but if you filter right down to MicroChat, you can see all the different things that are possible. And then our educator resources here, where we have our cheat sheets, our intro activities, best practices. These have a lot of really good info in there so that you can feel fully prepared and confident heading into the classroom and using MicroChat as an AI collaborator. A quick note, I probably covered off on these pretty quickly, so I want to come back and just reinforce some of these points. So as an educator or a district coach or someone at the training level, you can have an account. Students do not need accounts. They can join as your animal alias, which is a list that you get when you create that session. No student accounts required, and the full chat history is there. It's designed for K-12. So as we saw, it's going to encourage not just avoiding putting PII or names into MicroChat, but also it's going to take out any swear words. On the back end, we actually look for PII and try to wipe that out actively as well so that it's staying as safe as possible. It's built to be compliant with FERPA and COPPA, and we are almost done our SOC 2 audit as well. So that has been a process we've been in for the last several months. So it's all built to be used in a K-12 environment. The last piece that I want to talk about really quickly here, if you haven't heard about it yet, with MicroChat, we also launched our MicroChat CS and AI literacy grant. So this is a grant where you can take your 30-day trial, you can turn it into a full year of MicroChat licenses for you and other training staff. And then the whole point to this grant is that you can take MicroChat and use it during your AI literacy professional development, during your training, during some of your back to school skilling and reskilling and skill up events, and use it. It doesn't have to be the whole focus of your training. MicroChat can be one part of an AI literacy or a technology or a computer science session. And if you submit that request to us, we'll give you all of the resources that you need to deliver a PD with MicroChat and free MicroChat licenses for you and the trainers on staff. So we really just want people to be using this tool. You can imagine how powerful it is and how much it makes microbit projects instantly successful and fun for students. Talked about that. So we are reviewing these and trying to award the AI grant a little quicker, or not a little quicker, but quite quickly. So within a day or two, you should hear whether you've been approved. Thank you, Victor. Victor's question is, can we use those licenses to present at conferences? Absolutely. By being awarded the grant recipient, the grant, Victor, you have that license for the whole year. So we gave you that because you had a PD event that you were using MicroChat to present on AI literacy, and that license is yours. Please go ahead and present at conferences. And if you are, let us know. We can probably provide you with some slides and some other resources to help you along. Great time for questions. I know I breezed through quite a bit here. I went a little out of order, and I thank you for your patience as I swapped back and forth between cameras. But I hope that you got a pretty good overview of what MicroChat is. I know there's a lot to take in. I will pause here for a moment and allow questions if there are any. Okay, seems that I either did such a great job or not a good job enough, but there are no questions at this point, which is okay. Everyone will get the recording later on today, and we are continuing to produce a lot of different videos online. We may have started to see some. We've got our tutorials online, so we'll give links to all of those as well. But thank you everyone for your time today, and I look forward to seeing you applying for that grant. You're welcome, Rebecca. Thanks for coming.